Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to Furality, whether you're here with us in person, well, quote-unquote in person, virtually, or watching via Twitch. We're happy to have you. This is going to be probably the nerdiest stream that you're going to be seeing here on Furality. Probably ran by two of the nerdiest people in the fandom. Well, when it comes to science, there's probably people that are nerdier about other topics.
Yeah,
But this
it's
is
late
our
night
thing.
science.
Late night science. Yeah, it's pretty late to stream. But here we are. And what Nasi and I are going to be doing today is Zoology 101, which if you've never attended one of these panels before, Zoology 101 is us trying to frantically condense an entire semester-long course into 1 hour.
And not go crazy. I think we can do it.
And not go crazy.
We concentrate. Work hard. We can do it.
We concentrate.
Concentrate.
Just start chitting. I'm a professional. I'm a professional.
Professional.
I'm a professional. As we say in a tiger avatar and a griffin avatar.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm real. Real animal.
Real animal. Well, sort of. Sort of. If you guys don't know us, hi, I am Dr. Wildlife Hour. Sometimes I post cool animal facts and people, oh, that was a lag spike. I am back. Sometimes I post cool animal facts and people seem to like them, I think. Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit.
We love them.
I have about 13 years of experience. Oh, I love that. I love that positivity. We're going to keep those good vibes going this whole stream. Power. Good vibes through the lag. I have about 13 years of experience in the zoo and aquarium world. I've worked with everything from tigers to elephants to penguins and now crocodiles. So I manage an accredited zoo that's focused on reptiles up in Toronto, Canada. I'm not Canadian. I am, in fact, an American from the dirt roads of Arkansas, and somehow I managed to make it up here. So I am proof you can escape those country roads and go to new horizons somewhere out there. And the reason why I specifically mentioned Toronto, Canada is poor Ontario now has two of us.
Yeah.
Two of us in close proximity, and once it's safe enough, I'm sure Nasi and I are going to get up to some nerdy shenanigans up here now that we live within driving distance of each other. But more on that later. I keep talking about Nasi, but some of you may not know who Nasi is, so Nasi, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Nasi or Entobird. I'm an entomologist by trade. I study bugs, and I work at a local university in Ontario, Canada, and here to talk to you about bugs with Dr. Wildlife and zoology in general.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So, usually, during these classes or panels, when the two of us are together, it's really nice because when we get questions towards the end that I can't answer, Nasi is usually able to answer and vice versa. So we complement each other's strengths really well. But all that being said, don't worry, this isn't going to be your boring everyday zoology class. It's going to be
a wild ride.
A wild ride. A wild ride that you want to get off of, especially at the end, the grand finale. For those that have watched this panel before, either in person or virtually, don't give it away, okay? Don't give it away. You gotta wait for it.
And don't have a big meal beforehand.
Oh yeah, don't be eating. Don't be eating. Don't eat. Don't even think about food. Well, actually, you're good to eat for the first half of this. And then just put all food away. You won't be eating afterwards. That's for sure. So what is zoology, everybody? Well, zoology is the scientific study of the behavior, structure, physiology, distribution, and the classification of animals. And the reason why we put this definition up here, it's not because we don't think you guys don't know what zoology is. We put it up here because we're going to break down this definition throughout the duration of this panel, bit by bit. We're going to try our best. And we're actually going to start at the very end of that definition with the classification of animals. Now, in the field of zoology, classification is probably one of the most important parts. It's how we determine relationships between organisms. It's how we understand the natural world. But sometimes things can be a bit complicated, especially on the internet. When you have things such as the majestic sea flap here. Nasi, we're going to do what we usually do. What kind of rating out of 10 would you give the majestic sea flap?
It's because I can do the action tonight. I think it's going to be a 10 out of 10. This is fun. It's a flap.
10 out of 10. Yeah, we haven't done this panel in person since FC.
Yeah, FC
2020.
2020.
Yeah, so it's been a while, and we've done it at a few virtual cons, but it's always just webcam with the VTuber avatar, so it's just our heads. But now we have this whole realm of possibility.
We can move.
Yeah. Okay, we got the Danger Noodle. Nasi, what is the rating out of 10 for this name?
That one is a 5 out of 10. Because it's scary. No.
Because it's scary?
Noodles.
Well,
it's too scary.
No, you know what? Too scary. I actually give it a 0 out of 10. 0 out of 10.
0.
Because,
Zero.
yes.
How do I do 0?
It's good. You can do it. Oh, did you just simple game everybody in this room? Anyway, so Danger Noodle. Very cute name. As someone that works with snakes, even though this is a venomous animal, I kind of hate the name. I kind of hate it because I feel like it makes all snakes seem super, super dangerous. And although, yes, cobras are venomous, I mean, they're not evil. They're not, like, out to get you.
They're good noodles.
They're not going to hunt you down. They're good. Good noodle. Good noodle is much better. Next we have the fried egg jellyfish. And I'm trying to think of how we can do this with our VR chat audience. If you guys think this is a real name, give us I think you could do thumbs up emojis in VR chat, or a heart. I saw heart first. Thumbs up or heart. If you think it's a real name. How many of you have been to this panel before? Or you're just very, very smart. But yeah, fried egg jellyfish, it seems ridiculous, but it actually is a real common name for this species of jellyfish. Typically common names do go off the looks of an animal. Just like this, it kind of looked like a fried egg, which I think is disgusting, so I rank this at a 0 out of 10. Actually, that's at like a negative 10 out of 10, because eggs are gross. Eggs are disgusting.
Rude. Eggs are my life.
Says the griffin. Yeah, so I won't eat eggs unless it is choked up with other flavors to the point it does not taste like egg. And at that point, it's like, what's the point? You know? Why not just eat all the other stuff? Why eat the egg? In this case, you don't want to eat this egg. No amount of cheese would make that taste any better. Don't do it.
Just try to lick it.
No, I switched the slide. You can't lick the fried egg jellyfish. Probably don't want to lick this one either. I don't think this one would taste very good, though I don't think they're poisonous. That I know of. But this is a Symbiotic leaf-tailed gecko. Once again, it seems like a ridiculous name, but it actually is a real common name for this species. It's often given because of the dark kind of spooky coloration they got going on, the like red coloration. Though sometimes they're not always dark and chaotic looking as that. For the most part, these guys kind of go off of what the second half of their name is, which is leaf-tailed. They typically look like leaves. This picture doesn't really show it as well as some other pictures do, but they blend in perfectly. Oh, and I do have to ask, what's the rating for this out of 10?
That one's a 10 out of 10. Satan,
yeah, I would say
leaf-tailed
so, yeah.
gecko. Praise. Praise.
Oh my god, praise the Symbiotic leaf-tailed gecko. Oh, my personal favorite, I'm just going to go ahead and rate this right now. This is a 20 out of 10. This is the white-bellied go-away bird. It gets its name partially because of that white belly, like I had here, but also because they make a vocalization that sounds like it's yelling, go away. And I do have to ask, since one of us is part bird, yes, what does that sound like?
Go away! Go away! Go away!
Just picture Nasi in a tree. If we had time, maybe they could climb up there and just yell at everybody in the VR chat world with us. Yeah. These guys live in parts of South Africa, and that's where they got the name Go Away, is because to people that pass by them, it sounds like they're yelling Go Away. Now, we keep talking about common names all over the place, but we have a question to pose to all of you. Why are common names not commonly used in science? And of course, it's kind of a rhetorical question since we can't hear a lot of people, whether you're here with us in person or on Twitch. But think about that for a second. Why are common names not commonly used in science? Think about that. Think about it. And while you're thinking about it, because they suck, says Nasi. We're professionals. If you're taking a zoology class right now and there's an exam that asks you that question, you can write that and you'll get 100% on that question.
If any of you take one of my classes, you can write that. I promise you.
Same. 100%. Same, yeah. Yeah, you will get 100%. I probably would. I probably would give them 100%. So while you're thinking about that, let's look at this cat right here. And as you're looking at this picture, start thinking about what you've heard this animal called. You've probably heard puma, mountain lion, cougar, panther,
kitty, cute,
catamount, mountain screamer, I think is another common one. There's so many different names for this species. And oh no, my slide!
No.
Oh no, hit the back button.
I can't hit it. You gotta hit it.
We're professionals, I swear.
There you go.
So, I forgot. When I was cutting out slides, I cut out the grand reveal slide to conserve space. Normally, imagine, on this slide, big text says 40 different names. Big, bold text in that blue section. Just, oh wow, look, it's magically there. So, this animal actually has 40 different names in the English language alone. And these guys can be found all the way up here in Canada, down all the way into South America. And it's not just the English language that has given them names. There's also Spanish and Portuguese and all kinds of native languages along the way. And you can see that it would be kind of hairy if we went off common names alone. People wouldn't really know what you're talking about. And I feel like that even happens in today's world, even within the furry fandom. People are always like, I see it all the time on Twitter. People will post a picture and call it a panther, and then someone starts arguing and says, no, panthers are the black cats, and then someone says, no, that's a cougar, and everybody starts arguing. That's why common names, as Nasi said, suck.
Suck. Common names suck.
Yeah. They're not very standard. So scientific names is what we prefer to use when we're talking about things in a research sense or in a professional sense for the most part, other than teaching instances like this, because everybody in the scientific community, for the most part, knows what we're talking about. But that doesn't mean that scientific names can't be interesting or exciting, and Nasi has a perfect story to go into that.
Yeah. One of my previous lab mates worked with a very unique genus of bees from Chile, and he couldn't find any more kind of names to name these things that were, I don't know, really intrinsic to where they were found. A lot of the species that he had discovered, he named them after mountains that they were found on, or forests or whatever, but he ran out of names because there were so many bees. And so for this bee in particular, he looked at its face and was like, that looks like a Charizard. And that's what he named it. There is an official Chilean bee called Chilicola charzard. And you can actually find the paper and also more information about it on the Bulbapedia page for Charizard in the trivia section.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. People sometimes think of scientific names as the boring aspect of taxonomy or like the study of naming animals and classification, but they're not. They can be pretty fun. And we have a lot of examples of that. Here's one from prehistoric times. So this guy here is a trilobite, and the person who discovered this particular species of trilobite was a big Star Wars fan. So its scientific name is Han Solii. which is pretty awesome. I give that like a 50 out of 10 as a big Star Wars nerd. And Star Trek, don't worry, I love both. I love both, so don't start fighting. I love both of them. I would give it a 50 out of 10 if it was Star Trek as well. And this is the most hilarious example that we have. So this is a prehistoric species of hippo. I don't know from like what time span or year that they were particularly found in, but they named this hippo species Jaeger-Merksy after the lovely and famous Mick Jagger, for nothing other than his glorious lips that the hippo seems to share in likeness here. Beautiful. What would you rank those lips on that? What's the rating for the lips?
Luscious out of 10. Luscious out of 10.
Luscious out of 10. Oh my god, no. I love that. I love that. Now, this is the one that I always have to put in here because this is like my biggest pet peeve in teaching. And when I taught zoology at the university level, at the University of Texas, I always, every semester, would just like go on about this, and I feel like I would mention it almost every other class, and it would always be on at least one practical. I want you guys, and I can't really see your answers if you're watching Twitch, but is this a dinosaur? If it's a dinosaur, those of you watching in person, I want you to give us a little thumbs up. You gave them the answer.
You didn't see it. You didn't see it. You didn't see it. Fine. You're fine.
I saw you though. I saw you.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
I like the question mark. Yes. Oh, see what you did. It's skewed. It's skewed. It's skewed. So, a lot of people look at this animal and they think dinosaur. Mainly just because it's a fossil, and people, when they typically see fossils, are like dinosaur, dinosaur, dinosaur. This actually is not a dinosaur. Dimetrodon, which this fossil is of, is an ancestor of us, which is crazy. This was a mammal-like reptile. And they fall into a group of animals known as the synapsids, which is what we belong to. So way back down the line, we have a little bit of lineage related to the Dimetrodon. One really cool fact that I would use when I'm like describing this at the most basic of levels, and if you hear crispy sounds, that's not me opening a can. I don't know if that was heard through my mic or not. But that giant sail on their back, they believe that it was used in thermal regulation, which makes them more mammal-like than reptile-like, because they were able to regulate their own body temp, something that reptiles of the current time and the past cannot do. And now here we go. We're breaking down that definition a little bit further. And we're going to be talking about the behavior aspect of the study of zoology. And this is where I get a little bit of hate from the fandom, because I'm about to roast the species. About to roast them. But don't worry, some of my best friends are cheetahs. Oh my... What would you give them out of a 10? Oh. What would you give them out of 10?
Slow out of 10.
Slow out of 10. So they're really... Okay, let's clarify just a little bit. These guys aren't exactly slow. They're the fastest land mammal out there. And they're incredibly ferocious. I mean, they can take down hoofstock, no problem. But they're big scaredy cats. They're big wimps. They're big scaredy cats. And you kind of have to be when you're very fast, and that's like your biggest characteristic out in the wild, right? You're not big like a lion or really strong like a leopard. They're very small and fast, but not big teeth. No big teeth on them. They have to. I think there's like a joke in the furry fandom. A lot of the cheetahs call themselves anxieties to go along with it instead of anxiety.
Pretty good.
They have a lot of anxiety to them. And when zoos use cheetahs as ambassador species, they often raise them alongside dogs because when there's a problematic situation or a scary situation that the cheetah feels a little unsure with, it will look to the dog for support. And if that dog, which the species or the breed they typically use are labs, they're always comfortable with pretty much anything. They'll look to the lab who's not showing any care in the world, and they'll be like, oh, he's not freaking out, so maybe I shouldn't freak out. And that's why, if you guys have ever wondered, if you look at places like the Cincinnati Zoo or the San Diego Zoo and they have a cheetah paired with a lab, that's why. It does seem a little weird at first, but it makes a lot of sense once you get into the science of it. Anxieties. And of course, no zoology class of Nasi and I's would be complete without talking about animals drinking. Yes, I said that right. Animals drinking. So drinking is not just something, and I'm not talking about like, let's hydrate. Drinking some sort of alcoholic beverage or hydrate. Yeah, you can hydrate if you don't spill it. You poured it through your neck.
I did. I was about to spill it.
Awesome. Oh no, that would have been bad. We just see you disappear. Your whole system's fried. There's water everywhere.
Disappear.
So, we're not exactly talking about drinking water, and we're not talking about drinking out of your neck like Nasi so horrifically did just then. We're actually talking about some sort of alcoholic substance, and it's not exclusively emoji flying up in the background. It's not exclusively human-oriented behavior. There's actually instances of African elephants going to marula trees, which, indeed, I've looked this up. I forget what marula fruit is actually used in. I think it's maybe rum? Maybe?
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. But they'll go up to trees that have like kept their fruit around for a little bit too long, so it's fermented, and they'll eat a whole bunch of it, and they'll actually get really wasted.
Tipsy.
Which leads to some really comical photos here that are actually taken by some tour guides that found some elephants that had one too many fruits. One too many. This part of the discussion is really awesome. Yeah, this part of the discussion is always really awesome when we're doing this at a in-person con, because everybody, I feel like a lot of people can relate. Oh, Nasi, this is all you right here.
More bugs. More bugs.
More bug time. Bug time. Bug time.
So there are lemurs in South America that take these millipedes and they just up and rub them all over their bodies. There's a reason for that, and it's because it acts as an insecticide or a deterrent, like a mosquito spray, to make sure that they don't get bitten. I freaked out there. Don't get bitten by bad mosquitoes and ticks and that kind of thing. But the side effect is they also get really, really high. There's some great videos on YouTube you can check out after the stream of just these lemurs rubbing the millipedes all over themselves, chewing on them a little bit, and then just getting ridiculously high. Rubbing it. Yeah, they're rubbing it all over them. So, gosh, those lemurs. It's amazing. And I think I've made a few posts about this before, that lemurs do this just to get high, but that's not the case. It is mainly because it's an insecticide, but obviously for the lemurs, I'm sure it has a nice, fun side effect there. I'm sure sometimes they don't do it to get rid of the insects. They just want to have a good time.
So just like, remember that one time we ate that millipede?
And we just drooled a lot. Because they drool a lot. It's crazy.
They do. Yeah, I highly recommend looking up YouTube videos of that behavior, because it is really, really funny. And there's like some solid documentaries about it, at least short documentaries. And of course, it's just for the sake of time and stuff, we don't have too many pictures and videos in this slide. But as always, if you do see something like what we just talked about during this presentation that you want to learn more about, you can hit up either of us on Twitter, and we'll be more than happy to link you to some cool sources of all this. So
some wild videos.
Some wild videos. We have a whole repository of strange things that only zoologists would find interesting, but I'm sure there may be one or two that some of you would think was neat. So now we're branching into structure and physiology. there's no better section or better topic to talk about than cat tongues. So
Don't lick me.
when Mr. Fluffy, maybe.
No.
Come here.
No.
The stream team's like, oh my god, what do we do? They told us that we weren't going to do anything on the stage, and now look at them. Start chasing each other. So when Mr. Fluffy, or whatever your cat's name is, Mr. Fluffy is as creative as I can be. I'm really bad at coming up with names. I mean, just look. Everybody always asks me, what's your character's name? I'm like, Dr. Wildlife. And they're like, what's your protogen's name? Dr. Wildlife. Well, what's the tiger called? Dr. Wildlife. So Mr. Fluffy at home, when Mr. Fluffy at home licks you, it can tickle. And a lot of people were like, that's heckin' cute. That's the cutest thing, that weird little feeling. And, you may have just ate and your cat's like, oh, there's something scrumptious here. I'm going to lick that person's hand.
Scrumptious.
Well, scrumptious. I say I'm not creative and then I throw out words like that. But the reason why it tickles is because on a cat tongue are little keratin spikes. And those keratin spikes have evolved over time in all sorts of animals, but especially the big cats, like tigers, and even Mr. Fluffy at home, because those keratin spikes are there to lick fur off flesh and flesh off bone. So, next time Mr. Fluffy at home, or Dr. Wildlife, I guess, impromptu licks Nasi. The reason why it feels all weird like that is because of those keratin spikes, which has evolved to lick things off bone when they're eating. Fun fact. This isn't, if you think that's gross, this isn't even the beginning. Actually, it literally is the beginning, but, it gets worse.
It gets better.
It gets worse from here.
It gets better. It gets better.
It gets worse, because I think I remember what the next slide is, and it gets so freaking... Oh, yeah, it gets way worse. It's all downhill from here. If you wanted to leave the Twitch stream, this is where you leave.
No,
everybody just
don't
starts
leave.
leaving the VR chat. There's, only the staff here. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of wonderful people here for anybody that can't see them. So, Nasi, what's going on in this picture? We got some little snacks.
So, you probably are all pretty aware that flies start life as larvae, as maggots. They turn into pupae, and then they become adults, which look like normal adult flies. But house flies in particular have a really, really weird adaptation that doesn't make any sense, but it exists. And so when they turn from a larvae, a maggot, to a pupae, and they have to get out of that pupal, that cocoon, they use a balloon in their face to open up that case. So their head breaks open, a balloon comes out, it pops open the top of the cocoon, and then they crawl out and their face caves back in and they look like normal. No, I mean as normal as a fly can look.
Oh yeah, I think I included the picture.
Ta-da! Face balloon. Look at that face balloon.
Oh, I told you guys, you better not be eating. You can't say we didn't warn you. We didn't warn you.
It's cute. It's cute. And then it falls back in.
They used. I love it.
Boo.
Nasi, look what you did. Look what you did. Oh my god. Oh, okay, I'm so scared. What's next? Oh no. Oh god.
Yes. Bug time continues.
Okay, so I just want to... People are crying now. So I just want to say Twitter is a very weird place, and if you think it is exclusively, or weird is exclusively just for furry Twitter, or drama is just for furry Twitter, let me tell you, science is a whole different thing. We didn't have much room for a lot of these instances on here. And yes, I'm going to have you guys look at this tweet this whole time I'm talking about this, so you can just kind of wonder what's coming next. Furry Twitter, Nazi and I feel like every week have messaged each other and be like, did you see those scientists fighting about that thing? One time, you guys, it was literally worms. It was worms that started a riot on science Twitter. People were angry. People were calling each other's businesses, people's universities, and complaining about people over worms.
And getting papers redacted.
Twitter is bad. It's worms. Someone made a joke about flatworms being the worst study animal ever, and all the worm scientists were like, I have you
They
know it's
freaked
the
out.
best study animal ever. And they're like, nope, they're gross. And they were like, and they were so mad. And you guys you think furry Twitter's bad. Imagine being a furry scientist. You're both. You have to deal with both. You get both worlds. It's terrible. I think there was something else that happened, right? Like, there was something else dramatic that really happened within, like, the past year.
Oh,
I can't remember what it was.
I sent it to you. I forget too.
Something with birds or no, it was the entomologist. It was bug people.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyways, you can find it all on my my science Twitter because I sometimes share that stuff.
There was also a whole instance of scientists arguing about how Pokemon reproduce and whether they are mammals, birds, or they're just all monotremes like the platypus, since they all lay eggs despite some of them looking like mammals. Everybody was arguing. Cloaca, yeah. It was a whole thread about Pokemon Cloaca. If you don't know what that is,
biology.
I would say search it, but then
take a biology class.
Biology class. Message us on Twitter. We'll try it. So anyway, yes, I have just left this tweet up to kind of cause suspense as we are loading and just kind of waiting. Big suspense. So Phil Torres is a really well-known entomologist. He does a lot of really cool videos and documentaries and photos in SciComm on Twitter, just like Nasi and I do. Well, this tweet, which I'm sure all of you have read by now, says, one of my mosquito bites from Peru keeps tingling, and this is me praying that I finally got a bot fly. Nasi, I don't want to, not yet, I don't want to hear your personal story, but I have one quick question. What is entomologists' fascination with bot flies? Why do they want them?
Well, so it's kind of it's almost like a hazing or just like something that you should do as an entomologist. Like, it's kind of a rule of thumb that you experience the organisms you study to the full extent of studying those organisms. And sometimes that means eating the organisms you study with. Sometimes that means becoming a parent.
So for me, does that mean I just gotta go fight a tiger or something? Well, like, what do I gotta do? Like, I gotta go fight a tiger. What would my? Oh, okay, that's my equivalent.
You gotta let the tiger lick your bones clean.
Oh God. Okay, well then, no thanks. I kind of like living, kind of.
That's why you gotta work with insects. It's much safer.
Much safer, but we got Phil Torres here talking about botflies being in his skin. What's safe about that?
That's not dangerous.
That guy went to Peru on some sort of relaxing thing, and the mosquito bit him, and now he's got a little bump on his arm that's got a botfly growing in it.
Yeah, it's a good friend, soon-to-be child.
Actually, I think his was actually on his head, if I remember correctly. Oh. Do you remember? It was in a very weird spot.
I think it was either head or back. I don't remember which.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you guys, you think this is bad. You think this is bad. Okay, well, we did this panel at FC. And the panel we did at FC was even more chaotic than this one because it was an 18-plus panel and there was some hydrating beverages involved. And Nasi reveals this fact about them. Or, before we get to it, I just want to say, as it says on the big picture here, Nasi, the worst story I've listened to, there's me pointing to the whiteboard I'm terrified. I guess that's the expression I got going on. And behind us, behind this video that you're seeing, that's Bolty, who's an artist in the fandom. Bolty was doing live drawings on stage. So just imagine how much more awesome this panel would be with Bolty here. We have a whiteboard and she does live drawings really, really fast of everything we're talking about. And Nasi reveals what they're about to talk about. And Bolty drew this. And that is Nasi's Doe character with right behind Bolty's arm or hand is a bump. Why is Bolty drawing you with a bump on your arm?
It's because I gave birth. to a child. A botfly.
Oh,
So I
no!
did. I did some field work in Costa Rica, and as part of that initiation into entomology, I allowed a botfly to land on my arm, to lay an egg, and I allowed it to develop throughout the course of its life in my arm. And then eventually gave birth, and a beautiful fly flew away. Botflies aren't that bad. They're pretty common if you go to South America, especially if you're in the jungle or doing field work. And like they honestly just feel like a pimple. The grossest part about it is sometimes seeing the head pop out of the hole a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But that's about it.
You know what? I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I'm not the worst though. I'm not the worst. You can actually look up a paper from somebody at the University of Guelph. He went to do field work in Costa Rica, got, I think it was 7 botflies in his back, and then flew to Antarctica for more field work. And then the botflies emerged while he was at the Antarctic field site, and he published a paper about the first instances of botflies in Antarctica as a joke.
No.
You can actually see, I think there's a video on YouTube too of it like happening live, like the flies coming out of his back.
No, that's okay.
So, yeah.
No.
It's fun.
Yeah, and here's all of us at the panel. I just love this photo. From left to right, we got Saber on Twitter. They're V-Sabertooth V. We have Ari, my partner, so Ari Kitty. There's Nasi just laughing it up, laughing it up. I think I'm sort of yelling, and I think Bolty is too. And we had a whole room full of people who were also like everybody's yelling except for Nasi, just being like. And we always tell this story towards the end because zoologists are weird, and the field of zoology is weird. Like everything about it, and I think that's what makes that's what makes our everyday jobs, our careers, us doing these educational panels so much fun because we don't have to make stuff up to be entertaining. There are interesting stories as part of our everyday life. I mean,
and I got a billion
just a
of
few
them.
weeks ago. Yeah, I say just a few weeks ago. I think it may have been a month or so. But you had like an ant colony escape while we were streaming together.
Yeah, we were doing this panel, and then I have a couple of live ant colonies living in my room, and one of them broke out of their container while we were streaming, and I was like, ants everywhere! And
there's ants everywhere. Lots of ants. They were everywhere. Oh my gosh, there was just so many of them. And I'm trying to think of some weird instances for me. I mean, gosh, I've seen a bird curator at a zoo before she was very old. She was like, I say very old, but older than your standard zookeeper. She was in her 60s, and I saw her like wrestle an ostrich once on one of my first days working at that zoo. That was pretty weird, pretty interesting. And just so you know, she didn't just like look at the ostrich and she's like, I'm fighting you today, and start wrestling this thing. The ostrich was actually fighting one of the antelope in the habitat, and all the large mammal keepers were like terrified of this ostrich. I'm talking people that work with rhinos, people that work with elephants, and they're looking at this ostrich and they're like, no way, man, like I'm not the one dealing with that. And this bird curator is like, well, if no one's gonna do anything, I'm gonna do something. And she like jumped in and grabbed it around the neck. Here, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna like bump it in my case. She like grabbed it and was like just like chucked it to the ground, and it was the most amazing thing. And we were just all speechless, like even the elephant keepers. Which an ostrich is nothing compared to an elephant, but they were just absolutely terrified.
Oh God.
Absolutely terrified. So yeah, zoologists are weird, often quite weirder than any aspect of the furry fandom, I would say. So anyone's always welcome with us, welcome within the field of science, because I can guarantee that we have done and seen weirder things than most people can imagine. Probably even
especially
weirder
at
than
conferences.
botfly.
especially at conferences.
Especially
if you've ever been to a science conference,
conferences.
Science conferences get way more messed up than a furry con ever will.
They do.
I've seen a professional scientist of 60 years on his knees begging for beer to be poured into his mouth and barking, and I've never seen that at a con. I've never seen that at a con before. And this happened in the middle of an entomology conference, so yeah. You can try as you might, but you'll never be weirder than scientists.
I took my fursuit to the national conference for the Association of Zoos and Aquariums and wore it to the icebreaker.
Oh, nice. That's good.
And I have some photos because it was hosted at the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas that's in New Orleans, and I was there, and I had I wasn't in full suit. I had my partial with me, and I had the head off. And the director comes up to me and he's like, "See those bushes over there?" And we were inside the aquarium. He's like, "See those bushes over there?" He's like, "Go behind them, crawl into the darkness, put the head on. I want to get a photo." He's like, "Yeah, pose like this." And I was like posing with my paws, doing things I don't even do in fursuit at a con, the typical look at the paws. And they were taking photos of me, all these head people from zoos and aquariums. It was so strange, but I guess it broke the ice. I mean, that's the point of that meetup. It was icebreakers. So I'm guessing it's about time that we could do some questions. I think, can we take questions from our audience here in VR chat? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Audience, we're finding information out. There's where?
Canine head. I don't see the head. Huh?
So, just where the
I see it. I see it. It's right here. Oh, frig! I hit my head. It's right here. It's right here.
Okay. If you guys in the audience here in person, if you want to ask questions, there's a little canine head here, and you guys can kind of line up like you would at a real con, and whoever is the first to ask, you can be on the canine head. We're ready whenever. I think we can maybe hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Oh, okay, there we go. What is the weirdest animal you've encountered?
The weirdest animal
we've encountered? Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, that's so tough.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, weirdest in terms of kind of also the coolest for me is probably a velvet worm. Getting to see a velvet worm in the jungle and then actually seeing them spray out the silk and everything, that was really cool. That was probably weird and also very cool.
Oh, weirdest.
Sisciilians.
I had
Sisciilians are also good.
Oh, you took my answer.
No, I'm sorry.
You took my answer.
I'm so sorry.
You took it. Oh, you took it. So when I was working on my master's degree, I will never forgive you.
I'm so sorry.
Hold on, where's my telegram? I need to block. I need to block right away. I'm just kidding. I'll let this one go once. Okay. So when I was in grad school working on my master's degree, one of my fellow grad students actually had some Sisciilians, and I was able to see them in person, and it was absolutely amazing. I can't remember what subspecies or species of Sisciilian it was. They were from some part of Africa, which probably doesn't really say too much about them. Just so you guys know, I do work with herps, but I have never taken a herpetology class. Some aspects of the really weird ones, I'm still learning. And in fact, I'm actually in a herpetology class right now. So ask me again in 3 weeks to tell you about Sisciilians, and I will tell you about Sisciilians because it's actually the first topic of the class.
Also, congratulations on that. That's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah, I'm very, very excited. I will soon be a master herpetologist, everybody. It's like a certificate program, like the master gardener thing, but for herps. And for those of you that are like, what the heck is a Sicilian? They're like a little wormy looking amphibian that lives in the dirt. There are some aquatic ones too, but for the most part, they live in dirt. They look like a worm. Maybe I'll post about them sometime. In any case, yeah, that would be my weirdest one. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Whoever's next?
It's just on the ground right in front of you.
Yeah, there's like a little dog.
Stand up.
I think you
There
just
you
have
go.
to stand on it. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we
There
can
you
hear
go.
you now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm nervous.
Oh no, you're fine.
It's all right. You're fine.
We're weirdos. There's nothing to be nervous about.
Yeah.
Well, give me a second, please.
Oh,
Sure,
you're
yeah,
completely
no
fine.
problem.
Yeah, we can take another question while we're waiting. You just got. Oh, there you go.
How do I sound?
You sound good.
You sound good. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay. What's both of your favorite animals that you've worked with?
Oh no.
Ooh.
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 I would say tigers.
That makes sense.
Wow. Oh my god, and my tracking went crazy. Wow, who would have guessed? I would say tigers.
What a surprise.
Yeah, what a surprise. I have a tattoo actually of the voice of the first tiger that I worked with. There's sound waves of her. Oh god, what is going on? There's sound waves of her voice on my arm. And they had such a profound impact on my career to the point that originally I wanted to be a zoo veterinarian, and when I started working with tigers, it inspired me to learn more about the field of conservation and endangered species in particular. And I actually declined 2 vet school invite to further go on to get my master's and my PhD because tigers impacted my direction so much. So I would say I owe my entire career to one tiger in particular named Tina, who has since passed away. She passed away a few years ago from kidney disease, unfortunately. But she was the first tiger I ever rescued from the exotic pet trade. And I mean, I'm here on this stage as a green tiger because of that animal. So I'd say my favorite, tigers. Nasi, what about you?
I mean, it's probably just a lot of different kinds of ants, and ants are the things that I specialize in, so it's not surprising either. But I've helped a few museums.
Nasi. You should go into the darkness. Come back and
I'm going as an ant. As an ant, I should come back as an ant.
Hold on.
Do I do this? Okay, I'm gonna come back.
Oh, okay, hold on. We're not doing anything suspicious. For everybody watching via the Twitch stream.
All right. We're back. And I'm probably, my body is all messed up, but I'm an ant. I can't see anything. And nobody on the Twitch screen see me. Oh, frig, no. I'm too small. Oh no, it's okay. I was an ant.
Come here, can I pick you up?
No, you can't pick me up. I was an ant for a little bit. So ants, and it's because like I've worked with museums and zoos and stuff, caretaking for leafcutter ants, and then some really weird species like slave-making ants and like vampire ants. And the biology of them is kind of just absolutely insane to watch in person. It's wild.
Absolutely. Next question.
Can
you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is there any species you really want to study but haven't had the chance to yet?
Oh,
That's a good one too. I would say if there was something that I wanted to study a lot, and it's kind of weird because it's outside of my area of expertise, but picture plants or like carnivorous plants in general and their interactions. with
Oh,
insects.
yeah.
Oh, I would love to do that because
Yeah.
there's so much really awesome specialization in like carnivorous plants with specific kinds of species of insects and stuff. It'd be really cool.
Yeah. Oh God, I would probably say whale sharks for me. I've been very fortunate, and I would say even privileged to be able to work with a wide variety of diverse animals and taxa. So I've worked with sharks, but I've never had a
Okay.
chance to work with the big guys like whale sharks and such. So I really hope someday to go down to Mexico and visit some of the fishing villages who actually they used to hunt whale sharks and sell their parts on the market, and they've since turned into tourism towns to help conserve the species. And I would love a chance to go down there and study what they do for whale sharks and see whale sharks in the wild. I've seen them at the Georgia Aquarium. I've never seen them or worked with them in the wild though. So yeah, whale shark for me. That's a very good question. I had to think about that. Oh, next question.
Next question.
What's your favorite symbiotic relationship between animals?
Oh,
God.
this one's so good. Oh, there's so many.
Oh, I have one. I
Oh.
have one.
Okay, you can go first.
I have one. The algae on sloths. The mutualistic algae that's on sloths
Oh.
that gives them like the green color. Cause they it's really neat because the algae is on there. It's able to get a lot of good photosynthesis going on because the sloth is so slow moving and oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with my tracking. I'm just like wiggling around. Oh my god,
Wiggle,
maybe I
wiggle,
shouldn't do
wiggle.
that. It makes it worse. So I'll stand very still like a sloth. So sloths, when you typically see like the really green ones, that's because of the mutualistic algae that they have on them. And that mutualistic algae grows on them because they stay in one spot for a really long time. They're able to photosynthesize. And there's a specific type of moth, which maybe Nasi knows what it is. I don't particularly remember, but there's a
Not off the top of my
moth
head.
that actually feeds off the algae on the sloth's back. And this particular species of moth only breeds and like reproduces because of like the algae and the sloth. So there's like a whole tiny ecosystem that only exists because of sloths, and I find that really cool.
That's really good.
I guess it wouldn't completely be a symbiotic relationship, but it is a pretty complex one. And pretty awesome. I love sloths. So
Yeah,
what about you?
that's cool. Probably mine is between carrion beetles and a species of mite. So these carrion beetles like are responsible for getting rid of the bodies of various organisms on the surface, and they take care of their young over the course of the larvae growing and turning into new beetles. And all the while, there's a threat of other organisms trying to come and steal the carrion and steal all that meat. But they have a mite that lives on their bodies that when they get to a food item, that will stay on it and protect it from other food and predators. And in exchange, they can feed on the eggs of things like flies and that kind of thing that might land on it. So it's pretty cool. I really like that. And it's something you can see pretty commonly in the wild.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. But thank you for the question.
Yeah.
What has been your least favorite animal to walk with?
Ooh.
Least favorite.
Least favorite. Bullet ants for me. They're terrifying. I've had to I had to catch some in the wild and also raise some as part of some work with the University of Brazil. And it's just, you have to wear these giant gloves, and there's always a risk that you get stung, and then you're just going to be in pain for 48 hours. It's gruesome and scary, but cool at the same time.
I would say zebras. They don't. 2 out of 10, they don't live up to expectations. I grew up with a little stuffed animal named Pingo, Pingo the zebra, and I actually still have him. You know, he's at my parents' house all the way back in Arkansas. I still have him. I grew up loving zebras because of this little stuffed animal, and then I worked with zebras, and they're a-holes. I'm gonna censor myself just in case. But yeah, they're rude. They're rude. They try to bite you all the time. Expectations were high, and then they just came crashing down. So I would say zebras. They're very mean. They're very pretty, but they're very mean. That's my answer. Thank you for that one.
I love your avatar, by the way. It's really cute.
How many? So I didn't quite hear that, but how many questions do we have time for? Okay, so this is our last
should we get
question,
Draven?
and JJ, you lucked out. What do you got for us?
So this one was from the Twitch
Okay.
chat. I thought it was a really good question. So someone asked, which animal in your experience is the most misunderstood by the general public?
Most misunderstood.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Coming from entomology, insects in general, for me, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like not many people appreciate insects as much as they probably should, because insects are amazing. And I love to teach people about them because of how awesome they are. But you always get the people that are like, they're just creepy crawlies, or there's just like one ant or something like that. And then when they realize the diversity and the amazingness of them, it's just like a whole world opens up.
Yeah. I would say reptiles for me. That's something that I tell my staff that I work with. Ooh, I lagged for a moment. That's what I tell my staff at the zoo all the time. We have a very interesting challenge at our zoo because we're reptile focused, and we don't have it easy. People go to zoos, they see charismatic animals like tigers, and it's very easy to fall in love with them and very easy to understand why we should conserve those animals. But for the everyday person, they look at a reptile, they don't see them as something that has feelings. They don't see it as something that's worth saving in the same regard as a tiger. And we're not open to the public right now, but when we are, it's countering, we have to counter those fears every day. Every person that walks in, we're having to break all these stereotypes. Oh my gosh, my tracking's not behaving during a very serious conversation. Oh my gosh. Anyway, stay trackers, stay. But yeah, reptiles, just because people don't see them as individuals. And as for those of you that follow me on Twitter, you see that almost every animal that I work with and that I post about, they have such a good personality to them. They're amazing, they're intelligent, they're worth saving. But people don't see them like that. We're working towards that. Nasi and I. Nasi with the insects, me with the reptiles. We'll get there. One tweet at a time. One tweet at a time. Thank you for that question, JJ. That's actually a perfect question to end up with.
Yeah.
Things like that is why we do what we do. Like this panel. But yeah, that was our last question, everybody. Just to round things off, I'm Dr. Wildlife. You can find me on pretty much every social media platform as Dr. Wildlife, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all sorts of things. And I post cool animal facts, and people seem to like them. Oh, tracking. The camera's right here, Nasi.
Right here? Right here?
Yes.
I'm Nasi or Entobird. You can find me on Entobird at all social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, all that kind of thing. And yeah, always just trying to share all the cool stuff about bugs. It's not always about botflies.
Oh, God, here we go again. This is the perfect time to cut the stream, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye. No more botfly discussion. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's a wrap.